Yo, so it's about damn time I talk about the current One Piece golden boy. You all know him, you all love him. I'm talking about our favorite big buccaneer, big boobied boy, Bartholomew, Kuma! He has kind of had the run of a lifetime the past few chapters. He's been surging up pretty much everybody's favorite character lists, including mine. And he's proving to probably have the best backstory in One Piece, which is pretty nuts considering we're like 1100 chapters in and Oda's still putting shit out that exceeds stuff he put out damn near 20 years ago. So we gotta give a nice pat on the back for Kuma for having such a tragic fucking childhood and backstory and just life in general. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about how the fuck Kuma, the guy we've known since what, like the end of Alabasta, I think? He was introduced along with Doflamingo, which is interesting because, I mean, now we know Kuma's past was celestial dragons. But the guy we met 1,000 fucking chapters ago, who was pretty much just another side character, he was a warlord, but still a side character who did a lot of mysterious shit that we didn't really understand. But Thriller Bark is where we get a true taste of Kuma. So he just kind of appears on Thriller Bark out of nowhere and is described as a tyrant, the epitome of cruelty, which I'm pretty sure with what we know right now is probably a fucking lie. He's literally a sweetheart. He's a sweetie pie. Everybody loves Kuma. He's a giant fucking dude with whited out eyes, or at least glasses that didn't show any eyes. He has a creepy monotone voice. First impressions, he looks like a fucking weirdo. But he has that conversation with Perona and asks her if she would like to travel, where would she want to go? He also says the exact same thing to Moria in their conversation, asking where he would want to go if he were to fucking travel. It just comes across very creepy. Kuma is described by Moria to be the only warlord to actually do what the fuck the government says, which also, once again, says a lot about who the fuck Kuma is, and presumably what he had to sacrifice to save his dear old Bonnie. We get the whole nothing happened moment with Zoro, you know, everybody fucking knows about that. And, you know, flexing a little bit of Kuma's weird ass power, which is actually one of the fruits I wouldn't be surprised were mythical zones. The paw fruit is just a fruit that you wouldn't really expect to do what the fuck it does. I'm pretty sure that theory's dead with what we know now, but I'll throw a little theory or some shit about it in the end. But Kuma appears once again near the end of Sabaody, the best fucking arc, by the way, where he kind of steals the show. He makes Luffy go through some shit, alright? At that point, he knew that he was Dragon's son. It just seems like he was testing him at that point. Either that, or he genuinely didn't realize what he was doing at that point was bad, considering he was like 10% human in Sabaody. Despite scaring the shit out of everyone, he saved the Straw Hat's ass from being captured, or maybe even killed by Kizaru, who's also an egghead, by the way. There's another reason to believe that Kuma will end up on Egghead in the next few chapters. Before smacking Luffy to Amazon Lily, Kuma utters a few words. He says, "We'll never see each other again. Farewell." I kind of doubt Kuma knew Luffy was Nika at this point, but he knew that he was Dragon's son, and that Kuma was probably about to undergo some kind of final operation to just take all of the remaining humanity out of him. Kuma wasn't really a star player at Marineford by any means. He did pull out that big-ass that pretty much killed Little Oars Jr. And then we see like little bits and pieces of him in the post-Marineford little flashback arc. He's just kind of there. And it doesn't seem like, you know, the Kuma that we are recently seen. So at that point, obviously, you know, some shit went down. And that's not that far from where we are in the manga flashback. So shit's going to go down very soon. But after that, we don't see him until fucking Egghead, pretty much. This is where shit actually starts to get really interesting. So pretty much the second we get to Egghead and learn that this is the Vegapunk Island, a lot of people's minds instantly went to Kuma because he is a very intriguing, mysterious character that is connected to Vegapunk. And sure enough, Bonnie starts screaming out that Kuma's her daddy and shit, so at that point, we knew a Kuma backstory was among us. We find out that Kuma's memories are locked in a fucking chamber with a big-ass paw bubble, so not only can Kuma extract pain, he can also extract fucking memories. Kuma's fruit is among the most broken in the story. I don't give a fuck. That's ridiculous. That is like Pudding's fruit. Like, he could do so much shit with his fucking paws. Then just a few chapters ago, we get a little glimpse into Kuma's backstory, which was triggered by Saturn being Kuma's biggest hater. This dude has been hating on Kuma since he was literally like 6 years old. That's crazy. That's nuts. We learn that Kuma is probably the only person left of this Buccaneer race, which is related to giants, which explains why the fuck he's so goddamn big. And it seems like the Buccaneer people have some sort of connection to Nika. Kuma's dad was raising him from the beginning with the idea that Nika would someday come and free them. This also makes me think that Nika or Joy Boy or whoever the fuck was probably a Buccaneer, which would explain why the fuck the Straw Hat and Mary Joie is so goddamn big. But Kuma and his family were taken as slaves for the Celestial Dragons for being Buccaneers, or at least Kuma and his dad were. I guess his mom was just taken along because she was associated. And holy shit, we get probably the most sad fucking panel of Kuma's dad telling him that his mom passed away and that she's in a better place. Like, that's the most sad way to describe someone's death. If he was just like, oh yeah, your mom's dead, by the way, it wouldn't hit the same way as how, you know, he ended up saying it. It's like telling, like, your kid or some shit when he wakes up that the dog died while he was asleep. Like, that's so sad. His dad got fucking popped for vibing the fuck out to the drums of liberation. So I mean, you could see why Kuma values Nika quite a bit, even though, well, technically his drum beat is what killed his dad, since it's so goddamn fire and the Celestial Dragons got all pissy about it. Then we go to God Valley, where he eats his little paw fruit, which, you know, this is where my little theory comes in. Maybe I'll put something where you can fucking skip it because it's probably gonna be bullshit. So before we saw everything at God Valley, I really thought Kuma's fruit could possibly have been a mythical zone. It was on my list, alright? And it wouldn't shock me if it had some sort of connection to Nika. It's also described as the Hands of Liberation as well, and just the name, the Nikyu no Mi, kinda sounds like Nika as, you know, a dumbass motherfucker like me who doesn't speak a lick of Japanese. I really seriously doubt that it's a mythical zone at this point, though. I feel like we would have gotten that information at God Valley, so there's pretty much no chance of that happening at this point. Those theories are in the past. But something that crosses my mind is that Sun God Nika was most likely a real person back in the day who ate the gum fruit. And then from then on, the fruit kind of took on the will of Nika, or whoever is awakening the fruit, it can turn into the original Nika. Or, you know, so, keep up with me here. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. What is stopping Kuma from becoming a mythical-like figure like Nika? Like, he has done extremely fucking similar things to him, and that's on purpose because he fucking loves Nika. So what if the next person who eats the paw fruit takes on the characteristics of Kuma and the will of the paw fruit is turned into Kuma's will? Because Kuma has always been this way. I don't believe the paw fruit changed him, so a previous user of the paw fruit isn't influencing Kuma. Let's look at a case where I believe a fruit is at least heavily hinted at changing somebody's personality. Sabo, for instance, starts using moves and shit that he never saw Ace use once. Literally 5 seconds after eating the fruit, he immediately uses Hiken. This isn't technically canon, but at the end of the Stampede movie, Sabo does a big-ass Hiken with a little fiery shadow of Ace next to him. The will of the fucking fire fruit is Ace's will, straight up. I think a lot of people could agree with that. So my point is, what is stopping Kuma from passing on his will through his through his fruit in the future? Jesus Christ. I can see it happening, alright? I doubt the fruit will become a mythical zone or anything, you know, mythical zone fucking model Kuma or anything like that, but I could definitely see it as an Ace Sabo kind of situation. There's also if Zebek theoretically has the dark fruit, you know, there's another case right there. Blackbeard is taking on Zebek's will through the fruit. That's very possible. But you know, that's the end of my motherfucking theory. Back to Kuma's little story. So he smacks like 500 people off of God Valley with his newly attained paw fruit, and him, Ginny, and Ivankov end up at Sorbet Kingdom. Kuma was just kind of chilling there for a good chunk of his life, where he would eventually become a pastor who basically worshipped Nika. Kuma was literally doing God's work. The old ladies and shit in the village were calling him Miracle Hands. Okay, well, that sounds a little weird, but it's not what you think. They called him Miracle Hands because he could suck their pain out. Oh, well, that doesn't sound that much better, but you know what the fuck I'm saying. We're talking about his paws, not his fingers or anything like that. But he would do that and take all the pain on himself when he's alone. So he basically did a Zorro, nothing happened situation every single weekend. So you already know Kuma's endurance, it has to be actually cracked. Then Kuma sees Dragon in the fucking newspaper or some shit someday, and he thinks he's so goddamn cool. He's just like me. And Dragon comes and saves Ginny and Kuma from the jail at Sorbet Kingdom, and they join the, I believe, freedom fighters at that time. We get a little lore drop of Dragon being in the Navy, just like I said in my Dragon video, by the way. I'm always right, but you know, you already knew this. And then we get this news that Ginny was taken by some surprise person, and that brings us to last week's chapter. So, surprise! It's a fucking celestial dragon. He gave her some kind of possibly celestial dragon STD. We won't ever get a confirmation about that specifically if it is that, but I do think if it's not an STD, it's some kind of insanely important shit that we will eventually find out. But with all that news, fucking Bonnie is half celestial dragon, which explains so much. It's why Saturn has sympathy for her. It's why Akainu was meat riding. Okay, I shouldn't say that because she's literally 12 years old, but that's a pretty big fucking deal, and I'm not really seeing a whole lot of people talk about that. Bonnie comes up with the sapphire scale shit, and I'm gonna assume that Kuma makes some kind of deal with the Gorosei or the world government that ends up giving his strong buccaneer boy body to them to experiment on, and essentially giving his life to them in exchange for them to cure Bonnie. And I bet that's what's going on here, and that also kind of solves Chopper's dream, if that's true. You know, curing every disease. The Gorosei, or, you know, that group, has some way to cure any fucking disease, or at least specifically the sapphire scale, but I have a feeling it's gonna be every disease. But yeah, no, that's about it. I just want to talk about our sweetie pie Kuma for a little bit. And for those of you that give a fuck, I have a second channel in my description. It's always been in the description of all of my videos. I don't have anything there, but I've been considering just stopping posting on here and just posting on there because I'm fighting a losing battle with this channel. I will always be losing more subscribers than what I'm going to be gaining. That's just how it is, and I think that hurts the performance of all of my videos. I have 35,000 subscribers, and only about 1,500 of them, maybe 1,000 if I'm lucky, actually subscribed for me. You know, I feel like if I started over and got rid of my Moist Critical plug channel reputation, or whatever, I might do better. But it could all shit in my face, I don't know, but give me your fucking thoughts. I've been considering this for like 6 months now. But yeah.